I do want to ask you more about leverage. I want to get more into what you mean by leverage
Hmm.
from a business standpoint. But before I do that, I want to ask you about leverage. I think one of them when it comes to employees, because I think one of the big mistakes over decades is that employers have viewed they've had leverage over employees, right? They've got the salary and
Hmm.
this is the carrot, and they kind of use that. They've got that leverage, but it feels like that shifted substantially over the last 4 years. Although with AI, I think it could shift dramatically back the other way. But how do you view leverage when it comes to employees is the question.
Okay. So I could interpret that a few different ways. So correct me if I'm not answering the question how you wanted or what you wanted to get at.
Listen,
So
I don't want to get into anything. I just want to get your perspective. So it's
yeah.
whatever you say. Yeah, I'm not looking for anything. I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
So this goes back to communicating your core values. That people want more than a paycheck. I think that's part of what we've seen shift in the last 4 years or so that you've alluded to is uh, paying the bills is important. Don't get me wrong. Having a competitive compensation and good benefits, that's kind of a given. But people want something more and they want alignment. They want to feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. And if you don't have core values or you don't have a vision and mission statement, you're not like what separates you from the firm down the street.
Yeah, I think that's important. Um, there is a let's talk about motivated employees for a second because
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you this example. I was at jujitsu
Mm.
a couple nights ago, and a buddy of mine there, he left. He was working for this steel company for a long time, and he just left and went. He's working at Walmart, and he was working at this big distribution center. It's
Hmm.
massive, which hearing they use AI with it. He's got this headset, and it's all fascinating. I can talk about that in another episode. Actually, just the AI that they use at Walmart. It's really interesting, but it's interesting that how they approach how employees can get paid versus how they incentivize employees versus employees that worked for the steel company that he worked for.
Hmm.
Because and I'm just the numbers don't really matter that much, but let's say he had to take this piece of steel. He would had to basically, it was really really hot. He had to put this big old freaking furnace looking thing. He was there all day, but let's say he had to do 600 pieces a day, okay,
Okay.
whatever it is. And if he got done at 2 o'clock and got all of his pieces done, he could do nothing the rest of the day, right? He could just get paid to be there all day. But he had zero incentive to do more than 600 because he didn't get paid more than nothing, right?
Mm.
Walmart is really interesting. Their approach is way different. So if let's say he's supposed to do 600 boxes a day at Walmart, and it's they're moving things around and stuff, but that doesn't really matter either. But
Yeah.
let's say he does 600 by 2 o'clock, but he's basically done one and a half times what he is supposed to do, right?
Right.
They pay him time and a half,
Mm.
um, where it's brilliant from Walmart's perspective because what they get to do is they're getting all that extra labor and they're not paying them full freight. They're paying them half of the time that they would normally pay someone full freight for. So I thought it was a brilliant idea when it comes to incentives versus a terrible way of disincentivizing employees. So I wonder if
Mhm.
you have any tips on incentivizing employees, keeping employees motivated.
Well, just to go off of the example you brought up, you also have data to show who's the most productive. And over time, you can, bring in more people that look like Dave and act like Dave, or you could bring in maybe you cut the bottom 10% that's not really performing or just doing the minimum to bring in more productive people. And so if you don't incentivize any behavior that goes above and beyond, you're not going to get that data to figure out and how to figure out how to optimize and who are the real top performers and what are their the common like overlapping themes, personality traits that you should be looking for and hiring for that really work out well in that type of role.